going to transform this huge dripstone cave into a lush mangrove swamp in Minecraft Survival. So I came up with the crazy idea to turn this giant cave here into a giant underground mangrove swamp. So it really doesn't look great at the moment. It's so dull, there's nothing in it, it's a waste of space, honestly. And I think we could do something so much better with it. So my idea is to kind of fill this whole place with water, huge trees, waterfalls, just make it look amazing. But we can't do that yet because we haven't actually been to a mangrove. I had a quick look on Chunkbase to see where the biomes are, just to save a bit of time, and there's actually a mangrove that is 5,000 blocks away. So we've got some flying to do. So I set off on the 5,000 block journey to try and find a mangrove swamp. Not too far from the house, I found this really cool ocean monument. And after a lot more flying, I finally found the mangrove swamp. I am so glad that I have this elytra because this journey would have taken hours otherwise, but we finally made it and this place is huge. I can't believe how big it is, to be honest, but I'm just gonna land here and I'm gonna start searching straight away for the materials that I'm gonna need. So it's gonna be a lot of the propagules and a lot of mud. But I haven't actually explored the mangroves at all in Minecraft, so this is all completely new to me. So I started collecting all of the bits and pieces that I'd need to turn the dripstone cave into a mangrove swamp. This didn't take me too long because the resources were everywhere. They were so easy to find, but there was still one last thing that we needed to get before we could head home. Okay, the propagules have been acquired as well as a bunch of other stuff that we're going to need to transform that cave into a mangrove. But now the last thing on the list is a frog, because that will just make the whole place complete. So I've definitely seen one around here somewhere, but I'm just going to have another look and hopefully we'll come across him again. Oh, there he is. There he is. Come here, Mr. Frog. Okay, now you follow me. And hopefully we can find you a pair. But look at his face. Oh, they're so good. I found another frog, but they move so slowly. So this is going to take a while, I think. Oh, they've finally given me some frog spawn. That took a really long time. I had to dig out this whole pond. But this is so cool. So I think I'm just going to have to wait for these guys to turn into tadpoles and then we can take them home and start work on the mangrove. Oh, we have babies. Oh, look at them. Oh, look at its little face in the bucket. They are so cute. I absolutely love them. I'm going to grab all of them, I think, just so we've got enough to breed up more frogs when we get back to the cave and actually turn it into the mangrove. Okay, so I've got all of the tadpoles and I think I've got everything that I need for this project. So I'm going to head back home, which is over in that direction, I think. So I'll see you again when we get there. I've finally made it back home and I've got all of my resources in these chests over here. So I'm really hoping that I've got enough stuff. Honestly, I'm most worried about the dirt, but I'm pretty sure we can make it work. So now it's time to jump into a time lapse and turn this big empty cave into something amazing. So before I could do anything, I had to get rid of all of the pointed dripstone that filled the cave. And I want you to leave a comment with how many stacks of these things that you think I ended up with. After that, I got rid of all of the weird one-block pillars that were left, and as you can see, my character was having a bit of trouble at this point. After I'd done that, I started to mark out the main lake that was in the centre. I used the natural shape of the cave to do this because it was already a pretty good shape of a lake, to be honest. Once that was done, I started to fill in all of the gaps behind it and around the sides, and then textured the inside of the lake with a mix of cobblestone, mossy cobblestone, mud and slabs, just to make it look a bit better and not all one colour. When the inside of the lake was done, I moved on to adding a few rivers that came off it, just so it kind of looked like the water came from somewhere instead of it just being there. I did this at the front and at the sides where I forked it off a bit as well, just to give it a bit more shape. After marking out where the rivers would be, I moved on to adding some ponds in the flat areas of the caves. I wanted to add as many ponds as I could, as mangroves are typically very wet, and I also wanted to build somewhere nice for the frogs to hang out. Like the main lake, I textured the insides of every body of water I added by mixing in some mud, cobblestone and mossy cobblestone into the dirt. At the back of the lake, I removed the pillar and did a bit of terraforming so I could add a pond up here with a waterfall that flows down the rock face. Next to this, I built up the area to cover up the cave entrance and marked out where a second pond and waterfall would go. Now, I really didn't like the look of the dripstone pillars in the middle, so I decided to cover these with a mix of cobblestone and mossy cobblestone at the bottom and top, with stone and andesite in the middle, so it fit the theme of the cave better. And after all of that, it was finally time to start adding in the water. So, starting at the bottom and working my way up, just like I showed you how to do when I made the pond in the village, I got to work filling in the main lake. And isn't it just so satisfying when the top layer fills itself in? When the lake was done, I moved on to the rivers that led off from it and the ponds at the top, which have the lovely waterfalls flowing down into the lake. I tried to make all of the larger ponds look like they came from somewhere, so I've added in quite a few waterfalls around the cave so we have that movement of water instead of them looking out of place. And now that all of the water's filled in, we can finally start on the exciting part. So at first, I was going to fill the cave in with dirt and mud, but I really wanted more colour, so instead I chose to spread moss throughout the cave, which was so much easier and looked way better. The only problem was, moss doesn't spread to dripstone, so I had to replace all of the dripstone before I could spread the moss, which was a bit of a pain. And as for the trees, I used the propagules I'd collected and placed them randomly throughout, and because of the mechanics of these trees, we ended up with a huge variety of different shapes and sizes, which I just think looks great. As I went along, I added in a few more ponds in empty spaces, and made sure to place as many trees within these ponds as I could, so it looked really overgrown and dense. The use of moss with all the wonderful things that come with it really brought this build together and made it feel so much more magical and alive compared to using only dirt and mud. I also made sure to add a few trees at the top so they aren't all on one level, and made sure to spread all of the moss up here too. After the main transformation was complete, I added some stepping stones leading across the lake, and hid some torches in each of the trees to light them up, as it was looking a bit dark. And to bring the whole thing together, I did my best to add some glowberries hanging from the ceiling, but honestly this was so hard to do and I fell down far too many times. It's finally done. Oh, this took me so long to do. I don't even know how long. I kind of lost count, but look at this. Honestly, I am so proud of what I've been able to do. So let's head down and take a proper look at the mangrove. So off camera, I have added a couple of extra details. So I've added these mushrooms, tried to add a few more glowberries, but it is so hard to place things on the ceiling of a cave that's this big. But anyway, I think it just looks amazing and I'm so impressed with how it's turned out. So we've got these little stepping stones here that go through the main pond. You get a view of the nice waterfalls. And then you come over here and it's kind of, I think I'm going to make a little path through here. And as you can see, there's like this empty space at the back. Maybe we can transform this cave into something just as cool. Maybe like a more magical version of what we've got in here. But I really hope you like what I've done with the place, and honestly, this is the biggest project that I've ever done in Minecraft, I think, but I'm so happy with how it's turned out. So now that that's done, I thought together we can add in some friends. So I've got our tadpoles, and I also went and got a few fish too, because I noticed that there was quite a lot of fish in the swamp. So I'll probably just put everything in the main pond, and then, you know, they can swim out through the little rivers, and maybe in the future when I breed them up again, I can put them in the other ponds that are like all around this place. So let's add these little guys in. Oh, there we go, at last. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, they look so good. I can't wait for them to grow up. And also, please let me know if I need to put a name tag on these, because I don't know if they're going to despawn or what's going to happen to them, to be honest. They've already disappeared. Fair enough. Let's put the fish in. We won't talk about the tadpoles. Now, I did mention in the time lapse to leave your guesses at how many pieces of the pointed dripstone I ended up with. So the grand reveal, 47 stacks of pointed dripstone. Now I have no idea what to do with this. Yeah, it's kind of a mess. And I also ended up with all of this normal dripstone, and that's not counting all the dripstone that I just let despawn, because I really don't need dripstone. I mean, it's not a nice block, honestly. But I really hope you like the mangrove. I'm so proud of it. I'm so impressed with how it turned out. And I think I'll still add a few more details, maybe a bridge, a staircase coming down, and more glowberries on the ceiling. But for now, I think we'll just leave it as it is and just enjoy how amazing it looks. Now, in the last episode, I did mention that I was going to light up even more of the caves that were underneath the creeper farm to hopefully get some better rates. So off camera, I did do a lot of that, and hopefully we've got pretty much all of this lit up underground now. It took me hours, so I really hope that we do. But I actually got a ton of resources from it, so I'll head over to the village and I'll show you just how many I managed to get. So I mined as much as I could with Silk Touch, and this is how much I ended up with. Look at all of that coal! I'm never going to run out of coal again, and so much iron, and there aren't many diamonds because I was at a high level, because I didn't think I needed to go that far down just to light up the caves. But yeah, I'm so impressed with how much stuff I got, and I even got a deep slate coal ore, which is supposed to be like the rarest ore in the game, isn't it? So I think I'm gonna mine all of that with fortune, and then I'll show you just how much I end up with. So I've finally mined all of the resources, and this is how much we've ended up with. So I have all of this coal, but I also have all of this coal too. So it's fair to say I don't think I'll have to be going mining for coal anytime soon. So we're rich in iron, and we're rich in copper, gold. We're rich, basically. We're very rich. Well, that's all we've got time for in today's episode. I really hope you like the mangrove design that I came up with, and I hope you enjoyed the video too. There's so much more to do in this world, so I can't wait to carry on building and hopefully transform this world completely. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again in episode 13.